Hi guys, and welcome to a new episode of A Dog Soul. I'm Anita, I'm your host and professional dog trainer, and today we're gonna talk about poison cues, how you can destroy a relationship with your dog with day-to-day signals. So stay tuned and have fun. Alright, so maybe you're thinking, oh, now she's really crazy because our signals are definitely not destroying our relationship. And yes, if you have signals or cues that are really well trained and that you have only combined with nice things, so rewards, then of course your signals are not poison and they will not destroy your relationship with your dog. But let me tell you a story. I met this dog who is, to be honest, a really sweet dog. He's huge, so 40 kilos, and of course with a lot of power. And when he gets stressed, and his stress level is high most of the time, and when he gets stressed even more, he tends to jump and nibble at people. And of course, that's not something that you can just tolerate or that you can just ignore or whatever. Because, yeah, let's face it, 40 kilos jumping on you is just, yeah. And his people have really tried a lot, and they have sought help from different trainers, and unfortunately they just met trainers who didn't quite understand how dogs learn very well, and the trainers didn't recognize the stress level. So they just said, if he doesn't do this or that, you have to be more strict, and if he jumps on you, you have to punish him. And this dog now has a really worrisome connection some of his day-to-day cues, because there has been a history where these cues have been used harshly, where he didn't get any reward for them, where he ignored them because it didn't make sense to him, because they weren't rewarded. And of course that made his people a little frustrated, and they just told him to do something in a little harsher way. They're not bad people, and he's not a bad dog, but they have just experienced some great levels of frustrations together. And so, in his opinion, doing what they are telling him doesn't bring him any positive outcome for certain signals. And some of the signals he even connected with punishment, like a leave it or a no. And those are the signals that would really destroy the relationship, because he expects something bad to happen whenever his people say those words. And he cannot really tell when they will do so. What actions of his do trigger these responses from his humans. He cannot tell, because in his point of view, his actions are useful. He's doing something because he feels the need to do them, or because he is getting something out of it, like stealing food. Of course, he will steal food because he wants to eat it, and that makes sense. And there have been so many situations where he has been told no, where he has been ignored, where just not very nice things happen to him. And this is why I think it's so horrible when people say that some breeds need corrections, or some dogs need corrections because they're just, I don't know, too strong or too willful or too dominant or whatever. And what this does is it destroys a relationship. And if there are cues that have a history of being said very loudly or harshly or combined with punishment, like a no. The dog also has a connected emotion to them. And the emotion is fear in most of the cases. It can also be frustration, but most of the time it's fear. And what relationship can thrive on fear? That's not possible. And since the dogs cannot really tell when this will happen, or even if they can tell when it's happening, they have learned that their human is capable of inflicting fear or pain, and that's really an awful connection. So if you have any signals that have been trained with some kind of force or used with some kind of force, and don't get me wrong, it's not like everybody who has poison cues is a bad person. Everybody has it because it just happens. But if you have some of them, get rid of them. It's the easiest way. Of course, you can reconnect them with positive things, but getting rid of them is a lot easier and just start new with a different signal. It can be a different word, it can be a different hand signal, it can be anything that's just not the old one. And you can connect that with positive things and with rewards from the beginning, and watch out for situations where you could poison your cues and avoid them. Like when you're in a bad mood and you're thinking, oh my god, now I have to walk my dog and I don't want to, and it's horrible and it's gonna be very annoying again because we're gonna meet other dogs again and it will suck, then don't walk your dog. Yes, it's not necessary to walk your dog every single day, even if you don't feel like it. Most of the time when we are not really in it and we don't really feel like doing it and we're just doing it because we have to or we think we have to, the outcome isn't very nice for us or for the dog, because we're tense and we might even be grumpy and we might overreact to situations, and therefore it's better to just go outside with your dog, to let him go to the toilet and then go back in and do something fun inside. And this will be a lot more fun for your dog as well, because he knows if you're getting yourself to do something or if you are doing something because you want to and because it's fun for you. And that's why this is a better choice. And if you're not sure if your cues are poisoned or if your dog is unsure about a cue, just film yourself and your dog when you ask him to do something and when you're using that cue. Most of the time you see it in your dog's face, and sometimes you see it in your dog's body language. Like for some dogs, the recall is poisoned. That's actually very common because our body language when we use our recall is often a little impolite for the dog because we're leaning forward, we're leaning over our dogs, and some dogs are even only called when they get the leash back on. So every recall means fun's over. And that's actually a kind of punishment. And therefore, the dog isn't happy to come back anymore. And that cue's poisoned. So you see, it's very easy to have a poisoned cue. And it's not because you're a bad person or you're handling your dog badly or something like that. It's just something that happens. And sometimes we have to reflect on our actions and our day-to-day life, I think. And just see if there is something we can do even better. And if you need help with that, if you want a second opinion on a video, you can of course send it to me and we're gonna talk about it. And if you have any questions, then of course you can as well send me an email or WhatsApp or whatever's comfortable for you. And I hope you find out that you don't have any poison cues, and if you have, I wish you a lot of fun building up a new one, and praising your dog for all the good stuff he's doing, and have a lot of fun together. We'll see each other next week. Bye.